Hey guys, this is Ed Lev. Today I want to show you how I created my song Let's Rise High with Kim Segal. So let's dive into it.
So I started with writing the melody. I wrote it on Sibelius, which is a notation software. And then I wrote the chords. After I wrote the chords, I wrote the lyrics based on the notation. And after that, I met with Kim. I played her the song and she liked it. And we chose a comfortable scale for her. And only after that, I started producing the song. So I really like to separate the stages, separate the steps in creating every song because it really helps me focus 100% on every step. So let's see how I produced the first verse. First of all, let's look at the vocals. For the start, I used verse vocal. I took the original vocal and just put reverb on it. Then I reversed it. And to give it even more smoothness, I added reverb after that. Let's look at the main vocal. Let's hear it.
Don't wanna wind up dead. I wanna leave every moment without counting my steps. Don't wanna run away.
Yeah, so Kim has a beautiful voice, and I used the Melodyne to fix it a bit with the little things. I used Autotune, not much, just to give it even more accuracy. And then I used the pop filter EQ. I cut all the low frequencies until 150 hertz, and I use a little boosts to add frequencies that I felt missing. I used the API to raise the high shelf a bit, and the PookTech by Waves to really make it really shiny with the 12K 5 dB boost. It will help to make it even more shiny. I use the C1 compressor. I really like this compressor because it is really precise and accurate. So really recommend it. Then the de-esser for the S's, and I use a little reverb. I use the chorus space, trance madness preset, and the mode chorus space. Just a little bit of mix, a little bit of decay. It does everything. It does a really good job. And for the parallel, I use Manipulator by Infected Mushroom. I use the John preset to make it sound like this. I didn't use the same recording, it's a different recording. So it really gives even more shiny sound to the vocal. So let's look at the guitar. I recorded a muted guitar with my electric guitar. And I used a bit of delay and a bit of reverb, which is the reverb is in already in the guitar rig, so I didn't need additional reverb. And it has also a compressor fast comp, so I didn't use any compressor after that. I lowered the low frequencies, don't need them, and it does a great job. For the plucks, let's see. I used this pluck by Seven Skies, and I used the bell pluck and then I reversed it. So I use only the reverses of the bell pluck. Let's hear the bell pluck. Yeah, so I took only the reverse. I used a little reverb to make it even more smooth. So this is the first verse, and let's look at the bridge. With the vocal, I added a bit of delay from this send. I used H delay by Waves. It's a great delay. Let's hear it.
I could have, I wasn't pain, didn't love who I am, was running from myself.
Then I used the parallel.
I wasn't pain, didn't love who I am, was running from myself.
I also wrote back vocals.
I was in pain, didn't love who I am, was running from myself. I used to believe.
I recorded these vocals. And for the drums, I just used kicks. I closed them with a filter. And after 4 bars, we have the clap. And for the plucks, I just used the bell pluck that I didn't use before. I used only his reverses, and then I use it for the MIDI. And it sounds like this. And I used also an arpeggiator. I used this MIDI effect of arpeggiator, and I just wrote chords. And I used the bass from Spire. The bass. Towards the chorus, I used a little swip of Cashmere. And for the toms, I always use some toms from sound pack, electronic toms with a big snare, and in this case I used Cashmere cymbal pack. And then I use toms from Battery 4, and it really gives it an acoustic feel. And together it sounds like this. Yeah, it's great. So let's look at the chorus. So now let's look at the chorus. Let's look at the vocals. For the vocals, I used a different channel. The only difference is I put a lot of reverb and delay to give it more space.
Let's raise high to the sky, it's our time, so let's fly through the air.
I actually sidechained the reverb with the channel himself, by the channel himself. You see the audio is from the channel that's called chorus, and that way every time the vocal stops playing, the reverb returns to its original volume.
It's a time.
It's very cool. It gives a lot of depth, and it really cleans all the time that the vocal is playing loud. For the parallels, I use just different recordings.
Let's raise high to the sky, it's our time, so let's fly through the air.
I fixed it a bit with Melodyne, with the timing and the notes. And the parallel high is also a different recording. I used the same channel as I used before with the manipulator.
Let's raise high to the sky, it's our time, so let's fly through the air.
I have also back vocals.
Through the air, it's the time to let go of the past. Stop ignoring yourself. Don't forget.
Yeah, the same here. I just used Melodyne to fix all the timings, and I used Fab Filter Saturn to give it some driveness, and I lowered frequencies I don't really need. It's just the back vocal, and that's it for the vocals. Let's look at the drums. I used toms after 4 bars. And also I used the toms at the end of the chorus. Yeah, so this transaction between the chorus and the build-up, it enters more smoothly with these toms. And I used kick with crash together every time a chord is playing. Yeah, it's really cool. Let's look at the leads. For the leads, I used 3 layers, 2 for the top layers. I used inversions. I didn't use the root notes, the chord from the root notes. Here it starts from the 3rd. In here also. And here it starts from the major 7th. And every chord is different. I used 7th and 9th, and it's really cool. In the lower layer, I used power chords. Yeah, power chords means that I used only the 1st and the 5th of every chord. And I used plucks just to give it more spacey feeling and to fill the atmosphere a little more. I fanned them right and left, and I used a little bit of reverb. I have this space plug after 3 bars. And the bass is really gentle, just to give the depth it needs. I used an Atmos violin, which gives that's what I call it, because it really gives atmosphere to almost everything. And I always use the session strings from Native Instrument, and I use Valhalla and a little bit of filter to close it. In this case, I used the 5th of the scale. It fits, and that's it for the chorus. Let's look at the build-up. For the vocals, I used a vocal atmosphere. I just duplicated a certain piece of the vocal. I put a lot of reverb and delay and close it by filter, and it sounds like this. For the drums, I used 4 layers of snares. I used 2 high snares. I used these military snares from Battery 4. I played with the velocity to make it sound more human, and I added a low snare to give it more power and depth. Took it from the orchestra, um, from the orchestra part of Kashmir song pack. As soon as the snares started to play faster, I stopped with the military snares because it was too much of a mess. Let's look at the chord leads. For the chord leads, I wanted to give a little tension in the build-up, so I stopped with the long notes, open notes, and I just wrote eighth eight notes. And to give it a little more atmosphere, I used this sound that I synthesized on Serum. It's really cool. And for the plucks, I have this space block in the middle. It repeats again. And for the build-up melody, I used a different block from Anna. Yeah, it's really great. And for the basses, I just continued with the same bass to keep the depth. And as soon as the build-up progresses, I use the filter to lower the bass to cut the lower frequencies. And when the drop comes in, it gives a lot of power when you miss these low frequencies, and then it returns back with a lot of power. For the FX, I used a lot of FX. The Atmos violin just keeps playing. I used impact at the start of the build-up. I used cymatics and Kashmir. I synthesized the riser that I always use, almost always. Yeah, I automated a lot of parameters in the in Silent. The cutoff, the LFO rate, LFO gain. I used another LFO. Yeah, I really like to synthesize risers on Silent. It's really easy and simple. And towards the end of the build-up, I used three short sweeps to give the end of it a little more power. Yeah, it's great. And I use a long sweep also. Yeah, so that's it for the build up. Let's look at the drop. So for the drop, I used Kashmir kick, and to add a little more punch, I just duplicated just the punch of the kick and really put it on low volume. That way, it gives a little more emphasis on the punch of the kick. It's a really little change, but if you listen really closely, you can really hear the difference. The chord lead. I used 4 layers. This main layer. I used another 2 layers. And I used the low layer that only plays the power chords, the first, the fifth, and again the first. I used reverb. Actually, I used utility to raise the volume on every beat the leads are not playing. I raised it by 20 dBs, so the reverb sound really powerful on the second beat. Listen to this. When I wanted to make breaks, I just lowered the volume of the whole group so the reverb doesn't stay in here. Let's look at the guitar. So I have guitar recordings. I recorded it with an electric guitar. Again, I used the same technique with the utility. Let's see. I used it on the group itself, and I have two more leads that support the lead guitar. I panned them a little right, a little left. Yeah, and for the bass, I used this. I lowered his volume, his low frequencies. I cut them. I just separated to 3 chains of EQ3, and every one of them I can control. So it's really helpful to make this. And I muted these in every chain. I muted the irrelevant parts, so it gives me full control on the highs, the mids, and the lows. And the lows I muted. Below 100 hertz, it doesn't have any information, so I use the sub instead. If you're using a phone or something now, you can't really hear it, but if you use speakers, you can hear it, or headphones. Yeah, and we have the FXs, which play an important role in here. Yeah, so I use this noise. This is the noise that goes with all the leads and the guitar together, and I used another noise for every beat, for every kick. Use an LFO to also to control the volume, but the opposite way. Here I used a high impact. I cut the low frequencies because I don't need them. I have a lot of low frequencies from the kick and the bass, and the clap impact that I almost always use. And here I just cut it because of the breaks. So I hope it really helps you guys with your creativity and gave you some ideas for your production. And if you're not a music producer, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you had a good time watching how I create my songs. And don't forget to listen to this song, Let's Rise High with Kim Segal, on your favorite music platform. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again.